Good morning, it's Tracy Shores, and I came across something this morning that I wanted to highlight, and it may even be for me what the Lord is calling me to do. And it's a verse in Hebrews. It's Hebrews 3:13, and it says, "But encourage one another daily, as long as it is called today." And indeed, every day is today. It's like we get a new today each day. And so it's a place in Scripture. It's mentioned, it's in Deuteronomy, it's in Psalms, it's in Hebrews, and it talks about entering God's rest. And we're all probably familiar with the verse that today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. So we know that the Lord wants to speak to us. He wants us to hear him, and he wants our hearts not to be hearts of unbelief, but to hear his voice. And he offers that rest. It's this verse I also like. It's in Hebrews. It also basically says that those who have entered into that rest have rested from all their labors. And so that's how we know if we've entered the rest, if we've rested from all of our labors. And the reason this is so interesting to me is that really what I found, and it kind of came to a head in my life. It probably actually, I've struggled with it, and it comes to little mountaintops, and then I get through it, but I don't know that I ever really annihilated it. And I'm not saying I haven't now either, but I feel like I'm more aware of it. And that is this mindset of being a performance, like on a performance treadmill. And interestingly enough, I probably had some of that before walking with the Lord. And now, having walked with the Lord, I guess 20 years, maybe longer than that, about 20 years. So I find that actually over these last years, that my performance model, actually, it almost heightened. It's like with Christianity and with my love for God, my bar got higher. And so I had, in some ways, in certain areas of my life, it's like I knew a rest, but I also struggled to stay in that rest. It was even almost maybe harder than before. And so the way that we know that we've entered God's rest at any moment, it says also in Hebrews, it says, for those who have entered that rest have rested from all their labors. And so what a tricky place to be in, but it's the place that the Lord offers us. He says, if you hear my voice, do not harden your hearts, but listen and obey and enter my rest, because I've prepared it for you. And we learn in the garden, right, that he said it's been prepared since the beginning of time. And indeed, I think it's kind of interesting because this is a busy season, and we're also coming into the new year where people make resolutions that are typically very performance-based. And so, and I love setting goals and making note of great things we want to do and accomplish. And that's not to say we wouldn't do that, but I think foremost is knowing that every day we can rest in everything, every promise that God has for us. And you've heard it said before, but we don't war from a place of unrest. We war from a place of rest. And I think when we go into this new year to accomplish the things that God has for us, if we can fix our eyes on that rest and moment by moment walk in that rest. And I know myself personally, when I've stepped out of the rest, my anxiety, feelings of just a failure or defeat, everything negative comes into my thought process. But when I'm walking in that rest, what he's finished and completed at the beginning of time for me, I feel like I can do everything. And I do it with joy, and I do it with love. And so that's my encouragement for you today. Blessings. Thanks a bunch. Bye-bye.